702.
The Big Interview
With Bongani Bingwa.
All right, so we're talking today about the Morita forestry collapse. Thousands of South Africans losing their millions, placed hard-earned savings into what looked like a promising investment, and then, as so many have discovered, when they invest in Ponzi schemes, they will never see the money again. This was meant to be an initiative that was also, it was essentially investing in a tree planting activity. It had to do with woodlands in Colorado in the US. And the idea was for people to invest monies and get daily payouts that would in time far exceed their initial investment. And as with these things, they often run dry. Joel Cedrus is a journalist at GroundUp and has been tracking this story. Joel, a very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, Bongani. Thank you.
Please I'll ask you to explain just exactly what was Morita Forestry to those people who bought it.
Yeah, so I think you nailed it. Morita Forestry was an investment specifically targeted towards South Africans, and you were investing in what they called a woodland investment. So you could start with anything from 350 Rand up until 320,000 Rand. And what they promised you was a fixed return every single day for up to a year. But obviously there were no woodlands that you were investing in. There was no forestry business at all. It was actually a pyramid scheme that used the deposits of victims to pay those that were in the scheme earlier. But what was particularly interesting was that it used a payment platform like your Yoco or your PayFast, but this payment platform was Chinese run. That its sole purpose was to then move the money offshore through cryptocurrency.
Just explain to me, I mean, as a layperson, I may not know how forestry businesses work. I may not understand even what a woodland is. I think that's not a word we use all that commonly in South Africa. What did people think they were actually investing in, and why did they think it would be so lucrative?
So the influencers that marketed the scheme to victims in South Africa, they explained how the scheme works. So one of the things they said was that by investing in a woodland, you are profiting from three things. You are firstly profiting from the products that the tree produces. You are secondly profiting from the oxygen that the tree produces, and then they start talking about the carbon credits and the carbon dioxide and things like that. So people were convinced that this is what they were investing in.
Profiting from oxygen?
Yes, exactly. And in one of the YouTube videos where they held a influencer event, so the top people that were part of the scheme were teaching those that were lower than them how to market the scheme to victims. And they were explaining that you need to tell them that they're investing in oxygen, and oxygen is something that we all need, and that is how the scheme makes money.
But you can't sell oxygen, I mean, as you and I so well know, Joel.
No, exactly. But unfortunately, because the scheme was promoted by influencers and people you trust, people unfortunately just believed it.
Goodness me. I mean, and of course, are you saying that the role of social media influencers in particular was quite useful in attracting would-be investors?
Yes, no, exactly. And it is actually something that the operators of the scheme actually recognized. So in the early days of the scheme launched in August of last year. In the later days of August, the scheme started offering payments to influencers. So for every video that you make, you'd get a payment. For depending on how many likes you get, you'd get a payment. And that was how they then used influencers to go and promote the scheme. And many of these influencers have hundreds of thousands of followers. The videos that they made on Morita Forestry received millions of views. So influencers played a massive role in actually getting the scheme to market and getting victims into the scheme.
Now, you were able to track some of the monies and some of the spend on this scheme. To give me a sense of how much money was invested here.
Yes. So what I was able to do was I was able to look at one of the cryptocurrency wallets that they had used. That cryptocurrency wallet was created, and within 3 days of its creation, it received 39 million rand. Then after tracing that the wallet through, because the cryptocurrency, the blockchain is public, so you're able to go and you're able to trace where the money went from there. I then found that all of that cryptocurrency landed in one central hub. That hub received over 330 million rand at that time.
And so as we sit here, as you and I are talking, it could be substantially more.
Yes, and also that hub was only created in May of this year. So we don't even have a snapshot as to what had happened before May. Remember, the scheme has been in existence since August. So there's a huge amount that could be unaccounted for.
And then the taps ran dry.
Yes. So over the past month, they actually hosted various specials, trying to sort of maximize the amount that they can now get from victims. And then over the past week, the scheme just stopped paying out. And over on social media, they started posting sort of posts saying that, no, the scheme is in a auditing process. Auditors are looking at the scheme, and that's why withdrawals aren't happening. They also said they're making various upgrades to the scheme. But in reality, they were busy siphoning the money out, and they were just delaying the process of people going and reporting the scheme.
Joel, I've seen explanations from a supposed director, Wanpuleng Violet Pagisi, trying to explain to investors and reassure them that their monies are in fact still safe. Who is she, and who are the people behind this thing here in South Africa?
Yes, so Puleng is actually the listed director on the CIPC company. So on CIPC, there is a registered company. It's called Marita Forestry Environmental Friendly, and she is the sole active director. But the reality is that South African company is not actually the company that is receiving the money. So when you make a deposit onto this platform, you have two options. You can either deposit via the bank or via cryptocurrency. Now, when you go through the bank account that the scheme asks you to pay into is not the bank account of this South African company. It is always a mule account with a personal name. So her role was sort of just to be a face for the company, and to sort of give people someone to blame once this whole thing shuts down. But the reality is she does not actually control the company. The company is controlled by a syndicate operating from China.
Could anyone have warned would-be investors about what would happen to their money?
Look, you can warn investors, but the issue is that because it came from people that you trust, because it came from influencers, it came from prophets, those warnings go in and out of your ears. It's difficult because it comes from people that you trust. And in order to join the scheme, you needed an invitation link. So someone that you know has to invite you, or someone that you follow has to invite you.
There was also some link to the Department of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment. Wasn't there an allegation that in some of the videos, they would have officials from the department being part of the training as one more way to lend it legitimacy?
Yes, no, correct. So at a tree planting event in Rand West City Municipality, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, as well as city officials, were at this event where Marita donated 1,000 seedlings. And Marita and the various officials were actually taking pictures, and they were, sort of just gathering around, planting trees together. And then Marita used all of those pictures to compile a promotional video. And that promotional video was then used to show potential investors, we'll call them investors, that this is a legitimate operation. The government is involved, the government approves, things like that.
And what's their position on it now?
So I know that the department did put out a statement yesterday saying that they They do not have an official partnership with Marita. And I know that on social media, the department then said that scammers, this is a verbatim quote, scammers used photos from that event to make it look like government was backing them. But in the actual photo, the government officials are standing with Marita quite voluntarily. They're all smiling. They're all facing the camera. They're taking the picture. So I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, but you and I can take a picture together. It doesn't mean you approve or are involved in any of my activities.
No, definitely. But I think there needs to be some form of due diligence before taking a picture, especially knowing that the cyber criminals and those that run these schemes, they use pictures with government. They like to pretend that they are partnerships. They use official government documents to add credibility to this. So I'd hope that as a government department, you go and you check who you are taking a picture with before taking a picture, because it is well known that these pictures are misused and are then used to promote fraud.
Joel, how many people, from what you can establish, were duped in this way? And are there any particular horror stories that stand out in terms of the monies people might have poured into this?
So there was over 300,000 victims that I could tell just by looking at the code on the site. But there were some particular stories. So, for example, quite a handful of people then went and committed suicide following their realization that they lost money in the scheme. There were also people that had put in their entire pensions. There were people that took out huge loans just to put into the scheme. And there were also a lot of people that had fallen victim to previous schemes and then put money into the scheme, knowing that it's a scheme, but also hoping that they can get money out before it collapses.
Because everyone, we think sometimes people are duped, but they do know. They just hope they are some of the early investors. Joel Cedros, appreciate your time, journalist at Ground Up, giving us an update on Marita Forestry and its collapse. We'll be speaking later in the show to the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment about their alleged link to all of this and why some of their officials ought to have known better.